Hi, this is Alessandro from TecnoBody, and today we are going through the ProKin system. The ProKin system is a balance system, and it has three modalities of use: static, dynamic and dynamic for the pelvis. In the main page you can select the static, the dynamic or the trunk module to use the ProKin. Now we're going through the static mode. Now we're going to have a look about the assessments, the possibilities in terms of assessment in the static mode. The software offers the possibility to get different assessments in the static, and these static assessments are called stabilometric assessments. We are going through the main assessment during the static position, that is the stabilometric assessment. There is a requirement in terms of position on the force plate with the feet. So this position will be at 30 degrees of external rotation of the feet that you can find with this kind of tool. The test is running for 30 seconds and the patient needs just to look in front of him or in front of her for 30 seconds. The test will stop automatically and then we can get the results. The software is going to display the results straight after the test, and we have different components of this report test. The main parameter after completing a stabilometric test is called area and is regarding about the total sway of the body of the patients. You can refer this number to a normative data that will tell if it's normal, above the average or under the average. Other parameters regarding the length of the sway, the movement forward and backward, medium lateral, the speed of the movement and the position of the center of pressure on the ground. The second test we are going through is called the limits of stability. It is a very important test because it is a fall risk prediction for the patient. You can select from the main page of the assessments, just clicking on limits of stability. The position that is required for the patient is with the parallel feet, and then we ask the patient to reach as much as he can the targets that we'll see on the screen. So we can see a blue cross in the test that represents the center of pressure of the patient, and the patient, only with the body weight shifting, is trying to reach as maximum as he can the yellow target that he will find will be displayed on the monitor. So according to all the distance that the patient can cover, so according to the space exploration, the software will provide a score according to normative data. Let's have a look about the results after completing the limits of stability. The score is based according to the capacity, to the ability of the patient to reach all the targets. So according to this ability, you can see the normative data displayed by the software, and under the 75% of this length of the score, you can say that there is a risk of fall for your patient. Now we are going through the dynamic part, the dynamic module of the ProKin. Just select dynamic and then we're going to see the assessments that is possible to perform with the dynamic mode. There are two kinds of assessments that is possible to perform in the dynamic mode on the ProKin. One is the balance assessment and the other is the proprioceptive assessment. Now we're going through the balance dynamic test. Selecting the balance test, I have the possibility to select balance 2 feet or single leg stance. So now we're going to the balance both feet, where we require the patient to be able to stand for 30 seconds in an upright position on this dynamic board. The goal of this test is to maintain as much as possible the blue cross in the middle of the graphics for the 30 seconds. The blue cross represents the movement of the platform, and after completing the test we will get straight away a result. After completing the test, we can click on the results and straight away we can see the score of the test that is based on the stability index, indicates in the total movement of the board. Even for this test, we have normative data that will be displayed by the software, so we can understand the condition of the patient for the dynamic balance test. On the top of the main score, we have other results, other scores indicating the movement anterior-posterior, medium lateral, trunk movement, and we can also see the sector in which the patient found more stability. The second test we are going through into the dynamic mode of the ProKin is called proprioceptive assessment. In this test, the patient needs to follow with all the lower limb a specific target, a specific circle, trying to follow as precise as he can. So you can just click on the proprioceptive assessment and click for the compare proprioceptive assessment. The test is based on the ability to follow a preset circle, a preset trace, as precise as you can. This has to be done with the involvement of all the lower limb, starting from the hip, knee and ankle. There are 3 rounds to perform with the right leg and with the left leg. As soon as completing the first round with the right or the left leg, then the software will ask to change the leg, the under lower limb, and to perform the same test. At the end, we can compare the error to the trace, right and left, and check for the progression of the patient in terms of lower limb control. After completing the test, we can get the score of the test clicking on Results. Straight away the software will show the scores, right and left, and the main score refers to the ATE, Average Trace Error. According to the error, we can get again normative data in terms to understand if this score is normal, over the normal, or under the average. Other scores are regarding the force applied on the platform by right and left, movement of the trunk, and the timing to complete the circle with the right and with the left leg. We're now going through the third module of the ProKin that is represented by the trunk module. The aim of the START test is to investigate the mobility and the control of the pelvis. So the software will display a blue cross and directions of movement in which the patient will try to follow and to have the best in terms of mobility. According to the total movement, we will get the final results. After completing the assessment of the STAR test on the trunk module of the ProKin, we can get access to the results clicking on the Results button. Again, according to the score is based to the normative data that will be shown on the software. The normative data regarding the ability to have more or less range of motion. So again, the yellow zone means normal, red will be under the normal, and green will be above the average. We are now having a look inside the training module of the static, dynamic and dynamic for the trunk that is possible to perform with the ProKin. Clicking on Training Library, we have access to different kinds of exercises that will be common part for all the 3 modalities of the use of the ProKin. After selecting the exercise in the static mode, we ask the patient now, after pressing Start, to follow the yellow targets with the blue cross. The blue cross represents the center of gravity of the patients, so this is basically an exercise of body weight shifting. In the options, as we saw, it's possible to select a different direction. The patient now needs to follow as precise as he can these targets. At the end of each exercise, according to the precision or the ability to follow the yellow targets, the software will display a score. The training part in the ProKin is a common part for all 3 modes in which it's possible to use the ProKin. So in static, dynamic and dynamic for the trunk. The difference will be in the way that you're going to develop this kind of training. So in the dynamic mode, we are asked to have more control about dynamic balance with the possibility to set different levels of instability. The last features we are going through into the ProKin is represented by the exert games, so the possibility to use gaming in terms of rehabilitation, in terms of movement. The part of gaming is a common part again in the static mode, dynamic mode and trunk module for the ProKin. On the main page of the software, in static, dynamic or trunk, we can select the exert games, in which basically we can choose between 5 different games that will offer the opportunity to train static balance, dynamic balance and trunk with the different gamings. Choosing, for example, equilibrium, we can have the possibility to select a time, a different position on the platform, 2 legs or single leg, and then after kicking play, we can move our center of gravity in terms to perform the game. I need to move, the patient needs to move the body weight in order to place the ball into the target. This is exercise, it's focused on the body weight shifting. After reaching the goal, eventually, and according to the time, the software will provide the second level, so increasing the difficulty of the exercise. It's possible to perform the exert games in all the 3 modes of the ProKin, so in static, dynamic and dynamic for the trunk. We're just going to change the goal of the training, so if you want to work on the static balance recovery, of the dynamic balance, or to improve the mobility of the trunk. These are the 3 main features of the ProKin with the assessment, training and exert games. Anyway, you can refer to the clinical manual to get more details and more information, just clicking on the I button. I hope you're enjoying the training on the ProKin device, and I hope you can find it beneficial with your patients. For more information, just visit TecnoBody.com.